still very strong. So they decided one of the ways that they would try and um, break us down is by destroying the family. And they're still doing that up to today. In the advent of slavery, the family was tossed aside, and it was so barbaric that even they had sons sleeping with their mothers. So, and there was so much rape and pillage and all sorts of things going on. So, now we see that we are in a society where we as African people is at the bottom of society, because we have been kicked so much, we have been trodden on so much that we no longer know who we are. So this is a chance for us to find our way back, to understand where we are, where we need to go, and where we are coming from. So the family is the foundation of all society. It's very important. In the family structure, you have the system in the Kemetic way of thinking, or in marital traditional family, is that, and we have that in some way in the Caribbean, in um, not so long ago, in the past, where we know that it doesn't take just a mother and a father to raise a child. The whole village raise you. And where I come from in Jamaica, I could get beaten by everybody. As long as I do something that wasn't good, anybody see me doing something bad, they beat me. I had no choice. That is the way the system was. And I don't believe I came out too bad from that system. So we realized that the family structure is very important. So you have your mother, your father, your grandparents, your uncle, your brothers, your sisters, and they all have a hand in helping you to grow. They don't just leave you aside. Now we live in a system where we don't even know who our next door neighbor is. And a lot of us have sisters and brothers that by the time your sister's children start having children, we don't even know them again. So the family is lost. The young don't have no connection with the whole no more. And everything is in meltdown in the society at this present time. So we want to bring you back to tradition. We want you to think about the way it is, because if we want to go forward and look at things in a way, then we know how the system works and how it could be proper. One thing I also want you to consider is this. Every aspect that you see in this country, including the parliaments, government, all of those things, they all come from Africa. There is nothing in this system that is really you can class as English. There's no such thing as English. Everything is something that is taken from somewhere else. And they put it together in a package that it make it look like they are the originator, they have the substance, but they don't really have the knowledge. So they tell you a whole lot of waffle all the time. And they write the way they write the books, the laws, everything. You don't understand what you're reading. You read and you read and you read and you read, and all it do is give you a headache and you get confused and you feel like you want to go to sleep. So we know in the Kemetic society or traditional society in America, the first thing is that when you meet someone as a man or a woman, the first thing you have to do, you have to go to your parents. And then your parents would go and get divination by a priest to find out whether or not you're suitable for one another. You couldn't just and if you weren't suitable and you still decide for say you're in love, but then you're taking a path that might lead to your own self-destruction. Because you know that your parents is going to look after you. And they're not going to give you, I want you to be in something. Because what we don't understand is that life and death and life walk together. So we need to know what is there and what isn't there. So we need to think that there's a continuation going on between the living and the dead. And because we know that there's a continuation, they go back to the basic. And the basic is that your ancestors are there all the time with you. So, in terms of divination, the first thing they're going to check is that is the first form of DNA testing, or paternity testing, where they're going to say, if this woman slept with this man and the woman is pregnant, then they're going to want, first thing the divination will tell them who is the father, because that is very important, because they want to know the bloodline. And when they find out who is the father, then if it is the man that the woman said it is, and they agree, then the next step is when that woman is pregnant to 6 months, then the priest would do another check to find out um, what is the destiny of this child that is coming. What is it that he's born to do? Who, and the other important factor is, who is he or she? Because we have the concept or the knowledge to know that every one of us that is on the earth now has walked the earth before. And every one of us who walk the earth come here with somebody to help us. And we also know that when we come back, we sometimes continue the same journey that we were on before, the same job that we have to do. So it's important that you start building up that child. So from the time that child is born, then they start doing all sorts of purification and things like that to enable that child to achieve his or her destiny. It is important that we know. Now we in the society, we don't even know, 150, 60, we don't even know why we're here. Most of us. We don't know why we're here. We have no rationality as to the journey. And every day everybody keep asking, who am I? And you ask yourself that a million times and you still don't know who you are. But they don't have that conflict in America. They know who they are and they know who is coming back. So that is the foundation of where the family starting from. The family is a way that the divine give to humanity to make us grow, to make us understand how to live. Now, as we can see in the system, we are killing one another. We are doing everything that we are not supposed to do. We don't follow no pattern or no system. We don't have no reality of what is and what isn't. So we need to get back to tradition to understand that you can't grow a child on his own, especially in a society like this, where we find a lot of mothers are trying to grow boy child. And it's a very difficult task in this modern world. Now, I grew up with my grandmother, and she was like a terrorist. She only has to look at me like that, and I start quiver. These children nowadays, when you look at them, they start laugh after you. They don't even understand what you're saying to them. And they will tell you, Dad, Mom, you can't hit me, And it's all them sort of concept that we have in this world now. So we understand that you have to understand how to grow your family. And you can't do it alone. You can't do it alone. The more you try to do it alone, is the more you're going to come up against obstacles. And I'm not saying that some people don't do it. But why do it the hard way when you can do it the easy way? You understand? So you need to understand that. I'm going to allow Catastrophe to speak a little and then I'll come back.
Yeah, so Ujayi, so as Kuwatu was saying, the importance of family. In tradition, they look to the principles that exist in nature, the principles that the divine world set. So we have in the cosmogony a deity called Usa and Aishat, and they represent the male and female principle. And those are the ones that they call Osiris and Isis, the original male and female principle. And then from them came Heru, or who they called Horus. So the woman plays a key role in the family structure. The male principle is through the bloodline is the male principle. So when you trace your bloodline back, it's through the male principle. The female is the one that is responsible for the destiny of the child, the spiritual side. So she is the one that governs that side of things. The male deal with, they're more dynamic. So they deal with, as we said, the bloodline. So the woman is the spiritual foundation in the home. She is the one that stabilizes the home. She is the one that sets that spiritual principle. So she is central to the development of the family, first of all, to the development of the child. So if anyone knows the story of Aishat and Wusa, Aishat was the one who grew the child till he was 7 years old before she sent him to his father. And there was a whole series that happened after that. But at 7 is when children go into the initiation in Merita. And initiation is the time when the child is instructed how to be. How do they live in their community? Because the mother and father would have already dealt with them in the home. So now we're talking about they will now go into the community and be people in the community. They will have to interact in the community as they grow. So at the time of initiation is when the child is given that information. That between 7 and 14. And that is a key time in that child development. Because when you're talking about family, you're not just talking about mother and father. In fact, in Kemet, the mother's sister can be the mother. You can have several mothers, legitimately your mother. And you can have several fathers. Your family is not mother and father. So they say the village grows a child, but actually you have extended family, now they call extended family, who actually stand as your parents. They are your parents. So you can have someone who, you could be 40 years old, you can have a mother who's 80, or you can have a mother who's 8, depending on where that child is born in the family. It is a different concept and structure to what we have here now. Now we have the concept of family being, and we know for those of us who passed through the Middle Passage and went to the Caribbean, the statistic shows that 40 to 50% of Caribbean household, it's a woman at the head of that household. And we've now gone further, where when you talk about family, it's no longer male and female. The whole concept of family has moved from the original concept that our people lived by for thousands of years. And let me just be clear about this. When we're talking about Kemet, you're talking about 3, 4, 5,000 years. But humanity, which even the sciences tell us, the European science tell us, started in Africa, has been on the planet for millions of years. And we are talking about a culture that Nebuchadnezzar was given permission to bring from the temple of thousands of years. And when we say thousands, Kenneman spoke to you about the firefly and the products that we have in firefly. One of the things we have is a calendar. And that calendar, what we call great year, 1 year, so it would be the equivalent of a year, is 1,461 years. That's one great year. How many times must our ancestors have watched the orbit of Sirius to know that one cycle is 1,461 years? So this is the knowledge that our ancestors were able to keep in secret in the bush. And this is the knowledge that was passed down from hand to mouth, because when they left Kemet, when the Greeks were invaded, when the Romans were invaded, that knowledge was now not just taught in the temples, but was passed down through the bloodline, through the families, and was kept in secret in West Africa. As Brother Kenneman said, across places like Benin, Togo, Burkina Faso, Mali, Ghana, the whole region, because the Dogon people are a whole group of people. And so when they made that move across the Sahara, we're not talking about just, a few people. We're talking about people that spread out across the whole of Sahara. And we know that those names, Burkina Faso, Benin, Ghana, they only came in the last 60, 70, 80 years. They've only recently, probably 100 years or so. Those names have only recently, this migration happened well before that. So when they put the dividing lines, what they were doing was separating brother from sister. So the woman has a key role to play in the house. They say that the gods want for the child what the woman wants for the child. She is the one that guides the child's destiny. She is the one that keeps that spiritual balance in the home.
The male side of the bloodline is very dynamic. And what your blood is actually trying to do continually, the unseen part of life and the seen part of life, is they're trying to make your family good or stronger. So bloodline seek bloodline. So sometimes when you meet a man or a woman and you think it's you that like that person, it have nothing to do with you. It's your blood that is engineering that for you. There's also a phenomena where some people, women, have children with men. And as soon as the children get to a certain stage, the relationship finish. And that is because that is all your bloodline. The bloodline can be rootless. It does not, and we have a saying in Merita, your duty is more important than your emotion. Because your emotion is only about you. Your duty is about all of you. It's not just about, so we have this idea in this concept in this modern society about we really love somebody, our emotion get in the way of rational thinking, our logic and common sense. The thing that we should be looking for more is respect, understanding, the ability to communicate with one another is more important. Because we see in the society people fall in and out of love very easy, quick. And if someone don't get the money to pay for their nails or their hair, the love finish. And I know that is just frivolous and idle chatter, but that is the reality, because we don't understand how important it is to have a family. And the system continually try to break down the family. Now you see, as I was saying before, that you can't even hit your child no more. The system is in your house. It tell you how and what you should do. It tell you how much hours your children you should allow your children to watch TV at night. It tell you what they should drink, what they should eat, what they should wear. In every aspect of your life that you think you have control, the system have more control more than you. When you don't adhere to the system, then you can be taken to court. And there's a modern phenomena where you find that if you take your child out of school and take them on holiday, you stand the chance of losing the place and also getting a fine. Right? So those are the things that the system is actually doing. And all of these things, they are eroding the family value. How many people that you can say now that sit and have a meal with their family? Everybody is in a hurry. There's nobody sitting down and because that is when you know your children. You find also another phenomenon that we have in this modern society is that every child have their own TV, their own gadgets in their room, and everybody is doing their own thing, and you don't know what is going on in your child's room. After a few years, you don't know, you no longer know your child. That family is in meltdown because you allow the system to take over your family. You allow the system to break up situation. And as Catasta just said, that when you look at the family dynamic and see, we black men have a lot to answer for. We continue to produce children and don't look on the children and the responsibility of being a father, being there for them, not just and some father just think as long as I pay my child allowance or child whatever, that is good. But I can tell you, having 4 children myself, I was there when they were born. I've been there every day of their life. When they cry, when they scream, whatever aspect that they are going through in their life, I am there with them. And I think that is how we need to look at things. We have to move away from this foolishness of trying to sow a seed, trying to just have children all over the world without no purpose. You know, when I had children, and I used to be a raver before I have children, I used to be going out all the time. But when I start having children, I start looking at life in a different way because I start thinking, you know, if I go to a club and spend £30 a night, that means I'm depriving my children of something. You understand? And that's how I see it. So it's very important for us to understand that if you have children, the responsibility, you know, they're gonna have days when they're good and days when they're bad. You have to be there to pick them up. If you are not that, then you are not a father as far as I'm concerned. So we have to continue. Even though they say the blood is dynamic and the blood is what is engineering our relationship and all of that, we still need to be there as a living person. Remember, your children are not really yours. You are just custodian, guardian of them. They come into you, they born in you, in your family, with you, so that you can help them. And it is important that we find the way to understand who they are and take them to the next level. And I'm not talking about when you have some other people also who think education is the main important thing to a family. But I know some very well educated fools. You understand? And you can have brilliant children. And one of the phenomena I notice about children that are very good, you go into them room and see it messy. They're not doing no tidy up or not like that. They concentrate that day. So what we want is balanced children. children who have the ability to do more than one thing. That is the future. Because if we don't grow our children up right, we have no future. The future is not ours now. We are at a stage where we have relinquished, and it's the youth that we have to put our energy in. That is why they're here. So the family structure can continue.
So when we're looking at humanity, because that's what we're talking about, we're looking at humanity from the traditions. It is, as we said, principles. And when we look at our reason for being here as human beings and what we're doing here in this dispensation of time when we find ourselves on the planet Earth, our ancestors made sure that what we were about, and in the tradition we have a day called the 19th day of Tehuti, which is the day when the world of the divine opened to humanity, and we made our vow, our ancestors made a vow. And part of that vow is to replicate the world of the divine here. If you, any religion, any spirituality, they normally have some kind of rules or some kind of way that humanity should live. You mustn't kill, you mustn't do this, you mustn't. Anyone you go to, they're going to have some kind of rules and guidelines. And our ancestors show us that there was that day when humanity and the divine world, at that point, there was humanity saying to divine, we want to replicate your world, because they could see nothing more supreme than that world. Because one thing they say with the tradition, we can't invent. The human brain doesn't invent. And so one of the things that came from that day was the code of human behavior. So the great book of divine ordinances, the code of human behavior. Now from that, you have like your 10 commandments, even the 42 laws of Ma'at. These are 77 principles by which humanity will follow to become, because again, any religion, any spirituality, what you're trying to do, you're trying to get closer to the divine. You're trying to grow your spirit. Well, this is what the traditions were always about. It was always about walking the path of the divine. And so this is 77 principles for humanity to follow. And they have one, I remember when I first came in and I saw one that thou shalt not be impatient. And I was like, what? How many times have I sinned then if thou shalt not be impatient? I hadn't even considered that would be something that I would have to check myself about. But in trying to live that, and because we're human beings trying to live that, I see the benefit of actually holding that patience because of the growth that you get. So if my sister is speaking to me and I become impatient from her, I miss what is she saying to me. When I hold my patience, I hear. Once I hear, I get an understanding of my sister and myself. It opens so many, just a simple one. There's 76 others, so you can have a So our ancestors understood that for us to walk a higher path, there was a code, and you will see any religion has similar. But we also understood that our time here is not just for now. So in today's world, they talk about YOLO, you only live once. And so because you only live once, anything goes. You can do anything because they don't tell you you're going to come back. They don't talk about reincarnation. So there is no comeback for the actions that you do in this time. There is no judgment for you. You can just do anything, and hey, you only live once, so it doesn't matter. This has what's been planted into the minds of our children. And so anything goes. And we see every day the direction the society is going. This is why when the temples did the readings, because they don't do anything without consulting the earth, this planet that we stand on holds the memory and the knowledge of humanity. And our ancestors know the science of reading the earth. And Nebuchadnezzar, the Musa Monondelebek, was given the permission by the temples after reading earth because they saw the state that humanity was in.
Okay. So one of the things we know is that there is no human on earth that didn't come through a man or a woman. Nowadays, we know we have IVF and all those sort of things going on. Right? But those are only confusion. Because what people don't realize is that when you have IVF and all of those things, you're not the same human being as a human being who was born naturally. Because everything is prearranged before. Your destiny is before you. It takes 7 generations before you come to the earth. We know that you're coming. The earth know you're coming. And the earth start planning for you. So if the earth know that you're coming and you don't come, the earth know what to do. But you are not a part of the earth makeup when you are come to IVF or whatever. That is not what the earth know as natural or normal. Not me. That is what the earth is saying. So every man or a woman who come walk this earth have to come through a man and a woman. We also know that your ancestors are so powerful that even if the God wants to give you something and your ancestors say no, they can't do it. So that is why it's so important for us to have understand the connection that life is eternal in a way, that you go and you come and you go and you come until you get to the state where you don't need to come back again. You can become like the gods, what we call a divinized human being. That means to say that you don't have to go through the cycle of life and death no more. You don't have to go through the suffering, whatever complaint that you have. You don't have to go through that no more. So we have to understand the dynamic of your family and where you need to go now. So now we have given you a basic understanding about family. We just want you to understand also that some people, when life is rough and things is not going good, they have this concept that you're alone. Are you walking alone? You're never alone. You're never alone. Your ancestors is always with you. They are here guiding you. It's just because some of us have hard years. And sometimes when Spirit talk to us, and we hear it, we said, oh, it's mine. It's my subconscious. It's no subconscious. It's your ancestors telling you something. And so we confuse ourselves all the time by not accepting the simplicity. I know with the advent of slavery, we have missed and we have lost a lot. We don't know our true ancestry. We don't know where we come from. And if you follow ancestry.com, it's only going to bring a whole lot of confusion, right? Because part of you is this, and part of you is that, and part of you is whatever, right? And a lot of people love it nowadays, you know, they're quick to pay up to find their ancestry. That's not your ancestry. Your ancestry is how is in your blood. Your ancestry is dynamic. Your ancestry, and you know, sometimes people ask, if we do reading and we say your grandfather, your grandmother is communicating or talking to you. They say, but I didn't know that. The blood in your body is not yours. It is your ancestors. It's their blood. Your blood is a living thing that continues to live. As long as you procreate, your blood it continues. If you don't, then that bloodline is not continuing. So you have to understand that you need to have a relationship between the living and the dead. You also need to have a relationship with your also living people. Because one of the things about the system though is everybody is fighting against everybody. Nobody want to lose. Everybody want to be superior. And we see it consistently all the time. When there's crisis in the family, like somebody died, when there should be unity, everybody start thinking about how much I'm gonna get, who's gonna get this and who's gonna get that. That is not family. You have those things in your family. You just said whoever wants it, just let them take it and go on. You understand? But you continue fighting. You're fighting your family. You are fighting yourself. You are a part of your family. Your family is not independent from you. You have to work together. So I know we are in the West and we've gone through a lot of pain, trauma, suffering, and we hear what we hear. We are where we are now. But now is your time to start looking at yourself in a different way and start thinking about growing your quality, thinking about gathering up whatever energy you have. Some people always start talking and say, oh, I don't have long to go. But I can tell you, no matter how short your time is, do what you can. Because when you go on the other side, you will benefit from it. Don't see it in a way that everything is lost. I don't have this, I don't have that. And you start looking at your family and say, but my brother and my sister have so much and they won't want to share nothing with me. It is their right to do what they want to do. But if you know better, and if you are walking on a path of spirituality, then you have to be the better one. Remember, some of us is going to have knowledge, and we're going to be better than our treat our children better than our parents treat us. And that is important because once you realize that there's a problem, you are here now to fix it, not to carry on and continue it. Hmm? Okay, so it's important to understand that you are here in this lifetime, whatever your destiny is throwing up, whatever the earth is saying, whatever reason that bring you here today, we have the remedy, we have the answer, we have the knowledge, and even if we don't, we know somebody who do, so we can send you somewhere else because we don't believe that we know everything, and we don't believe in being liars, thief, and all those other things. We want to just make you be honest human being. We want you to be what you were created to be. We want you to exist in harmony with the earth, to fit in with the earth. You know, one of the craziest things, and it's crazy to a lot of people, when I go to Africa last year, and we went to a few funerals, and quite a few of them was priests and priests. And one of the phenomena that they have, they bury their ancestors right in the front room. They don't waste no time going and bury them far down the road. They bury them right underneath the front room. And I asked the priest, why we do that? He said, when we need them, we don't have to go nowhere. They're right here with us. Right? You understand? They're right here with us. You understand? So that will show you how important it is them to understand the connection between the living and the dead, so that you're still a part of the system of life and death. So as we continue on this journey of learning our discovery, we have to look and forget about the past in a way. Because if we sit down every day and worry about what did happen, it's gonna kill you. You need to find a remedy. You need to find a cure. You need to find the answer to what is going on in your life. You need to understand why you're failing, why your children are failing, why your grandchildren are failing, why you're living the way you're living. Some of us is only existing, but we're not really living. Because our family circle is so eradicated, breakdown, is in danger, damage. We don't have the answer for the simplest thing. You know, as a human being, when it starts raining, you should be able to smell the rain. We used to do that when I was back home. You can smell the rain. When they tell people that, they say, what kind of foolishness is that? You can smell the rain. You know everything that is going to happen before it comes. The way our ancestors under God make a human being, we don't even begin to understand what we can do and what we can't do. We don't. Every day is discovery. But what I can tell you is that a human being body is one of the most sophisticated piece of equipment that you will ever see. And every part of your body has its own intelligence. You don't have to tell your body that you need to wake up. You don't have to tell your body that I need to go to the toilet. Your body tell you that. It's working automatically for you. And if it's working so good for you, then if you just try and fit in with nature, fit in with your ancestors living, and fit in with your relative living and your ancestors there. If you fit in with those things, then your family and the value is important. If you have no value about yourself, if you are looking at your oppressor and you're taking on their value, if you're taking on their religion, if you're taking on their philosophy, their ideology, if you're taking on all of those things, you're taking on their weakness and you're taking on their strength. And you don't understand all of those things. Because we are African people. We have a different pathway. Our pathway is spiritual. And that's why we are failing so much. Because we refuse to accept our spirituality. And you know, it's a sad thing to see that we can offer so much. And the world doesn't want nothing from us. They don't want to take it the right way. They just want to steal it. You know, but when you're dealing with pirates, thieves, and robbers, you're not gonna get no better because they don't know no better, so they can't do no better. We are growing our children up in a hostile environment, and we have to understand that we have to take charge of them and take them out of the system if we want to give them a chance. Because as I said, sometimes when your children are well educated, the first thing they will tell you is that, where you going, Africa? That place is so backward. You know, all sorts of bad things go there. And sometimes they will genuinely fear for you when you tell them you're going to Africa. The next thing we know also is that we so tied up with religion. I think that is one of the biggest weaknesses we have. You know, we tie up so much in it. We believe in this tradition, we don't have the concept of belief. It's either you know or you don't know. Right? So we work with knowledge, with the science, pure science. We don't follow because we know with the belief system, you can believe until your next life and it don't come true. You still continue believing. But when you know something, you know it. And if you don't know it, you don't know it.
So just to close off, there are two principles that exist. And the Naba bloodline comes through what we call the Worcerian temples. Wusa is the deity that, again, was the father. Aishat was the mother. Then they had the child, which is Heru. And so you get the principle of the Mary and the child and the phantom father. But we understand that's where the concept of Trinity, which is our second Trinity, but that's where the concept of Trinity comes from. But there is the concept of Wusa and there is Set. And these two principles have a very different way of living out their existence. We as humanity are subject to those principles. So Wusa is this cyclical principle where you see the world is in cycle, nature, you see seasons, someone's born, they grow, they get older, then they transition, and they come back through reincarnation. But that's the cyclical principle, which is the Wusarian. So Wusa would what we would call our ancestral deity. Aisha would be our ancestral mother. So he would be like an ancestral father. Aisha is the ancestral mother. So we're talking about the importance of family and the principles and where we take our understanding of the structure of family and how we live. But there is also the other principle, which is Set. Set was the brother who killed his brother Wusa, which is where you get the story of Cain and Abel and all the others. But it's also where the name Satan comes from. Set was the brother of Wusa. These are ancient Kemet tradition stories that are told. So each human being have within us these principles. Set is dynamic, whereas or bent, which we call the evil aspect. Bent is dynamic. Jiza is what we call the good and we have to protect. But we all have those aspects in us. And at different time, those energies can move through and it's up to us. This is why the 77 helps to guard that. It helps you to be mindful of that and conscientious in every day that you move forward towards the divine. And this is how humanity can protect themselves. Could we see the opposite today? The opposite that we see now is, like we said, anything goes. And we see what they're bringing into the school system. We see what they're allowing. It's a world where decadence will be the order of the day. The absolute opposite to that one that has to walk the divine road. And don't get me wrong, this pathway is an uphill journey. We say corruption goes downhill. It's easy to go out and enjoy yourself. It's easy just to do it. That's the easy road. Long pass, draw sweat. Short pass, draw blood. That's what we say in the Caribbean. So this is the path that we're on. We're on that journey trying to maintain our humanity, maintain our dignity, and walk the road that our ancestors have established for thousands of years. So Kenneman spoke to you about the different aspects that we have here in the school. And what we're going to do at this point is open it up to any questions that you may have. Yeah, so yeah, the initiates, maybe Kanefa, Kenneman. If you want to come up, or if there's any other initiate, because you may want to direct some of the questions, some of the others may be able to answer. So,
I've got a few questions, but I'll just try. First of all, on the 22nd of June, you said that there's going to be an event in Coventry. What is that?
orientation.
Sorry?
Okay, yes, that's orientation.
All right. What?
So orientation is where those who want to come in, so we're initiates. So we've gone through a level that we call Per Ankh. So Per Ankh means the house of life. So most of these people here are initiates that you see around, or they're going through initiation. So what happens is once, maybe twice a year, the doors of initiation open. and it allows initiates to come into initiation. Now, the 22nd is what's happening in Coventry, the orientation. So it's orientating you into what the initiation is about so that you can they'll start the journey. In London here, we're not yet having orientation. The last one we had, I think, was January. So, and what happens is after the initiates come in, the doors close, and we just grow these initiates. We take care of those. We don't open. So in London, the doors for initiation aren't open quite yet. So that's what's happening in Coventry because they've opened a new school. So the doors have opened for those in the Midlands who want to go into
So
initiation.
people from London can't go there even if they're willing
If
to
you
travel.
if you're willing to travel, then yes. I mean, London will probably have one. It's going to be a few months down the road, but the doors will open for that. So at the moment, we're just taking care of those who are in at the moment. But in a few months' time, the doors will open for here in London.
And the second question, I won't answer anything for a while after, so everybody else can. It is, you spoke about yeah, and he's his
High
bloodline.
priest.
Right. How does one know one's bloodline?
Bloodline.
Okay, it can be very difficult, especially with a lot of us don't even know who our grandparents is. Traditionally, in Merita, they can go back way back with all their ancestors, so they know who their bloodline is. So if you don't know who your father is, the priest can do some kind of divination, and they can question the earth, and the earth can give them the answer. But the problem is, the priest have to ask the right question for the earth to give them the right answer.
Is that, he knew his bloodline?
No.
He knew his
No, he know all
Theirs
his
is
family.
unbroken. That's what we're trying to tell you from pharaonic times.
They go back.
Oh.
Right. No. What I'm saying is that most traditional people, they know. You can tell them their father.
Yeah, he came from Burkina Faso.
Yeah.
Oh, right,
And
okay. I
brought
was
the
what he was
nation
carrying.
here.
No.
No. These are so in the place that they call Burkina Faso. He's from the temples. He's
Oh,
a
right,
priest
so
that
He's
is given the permission to come.
He's a high priest.
Thank you.
So no, he's us Caribbean people mostly.
Yeah.
With the advent of slavery, don't know our true ancestry. So it's difficult, but it can be done.
But also saying that as well, we do also have some people from Africa here in the initiation, and because we know that colonialization has instilled itself there as well, the children are now seeing that disconnection, and some of them are wanting to now reconnect to the tradition. So you have that happening because it's spread globally.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Sorry. The bloodline, is it right that must know your bloodline?
It's vital. Yes, I would say it's important because one of the simple things that we can break it down to. Your father can have a daughter somewhere else, and you don't know, and you go fall in love with her, and create incest, which you didn't intend to. And because we know that when the blood is very close, and you have children, you can cause all form of abnormality. So it's very important that you know your bloodline.
But they see that as a spiritual crime as well, with the bloodlines crossing, because there's certain bloodlines. So in Merita, when we go, there's certain families, they will never marry because those bloodlines mustn't cross. It's in the blood. What is carried is in the blood. And you can call it as the genie or the jinn, it's in the blood.
What about blood donations? Do people have blood donations?
No, they don't do that. No, because the same thing. That is like an infection, really. It might stop you from dying, but also, one of the things that we also believe strongly, no believe but understand strongly, is that every human being have to die sooner or later. So if you have to do something that is outside the tradition, like in the tradition, they don't really believe in operations and cutting inside of people because they don't believe that is right. So once you start violating nature, the law of nature, then everything can, all sort of thing can manifest from that.
And remember, we're talking about people who, when you go back and you see it, they had all levels of medicine. So there was surgery in it, but that was only when it was necessary. So you'll see on the temple walls, you'll see the birthing chambers where the women would give birth, where they have the deity Het Heru, which is the deity that would take care of the woman when she's going to give birth. You will see in the tradition that the highest echelons of knowledge was known there where they went. But they also understand that one has to, as what to say, fit within the nature, and that your time on earth, actually, this isn't where you live. You actually live in what you will call we call the imente. You only come here for a short while, and then you go back home.
So he says surgery is not good, okay?
Unless absolutely no,
So
if it's absolutely necessary, then but they won't just go for like some women now. So just to say, and then they'll go in to have a child, and they won't even give her a few days extra. They're gonna cut or give her a C-section to bring the baby out. So it's money orientated, and they wouldn't go for something like that. Even if the baby's breech, they have ways of turning the breech child and bringing it. So they'll be the last option. Yes.
Yeah, I'm just if surgery can save your life and healing can heal your sickness, what's the point of healing if you're meant to die? You're meant to die. So
Because the big difference is there is what we call natural healing, right? And in natural healing, they don't accept that you have to use these barbaric methods. Because if you understand about modern medicine, you understand the first surgeons were actually butchers. And some of them is still butchers. You understand? And you might be lucky one day that you get somebody who actually want to do something for you. But a lot of the time, if you are in a car crash and you break apart your body and something like that, and they have to operate to save your life, then I don't think the tradition would see that as too bad, because you are in a position that require something quick, or else you're gonna die. In a situation like that, I don't think the tradition would be too worried about that too much. But when you have something and like a growth inside of your stomach, the tradition know that they have time and they have the right medicine to get everything that is inside of your body out. So they wouldn't quick go and cut you open. And in America, the concept is that if you're a healer and you have to cut somebody to take something out of them, then they would class you as one of the worst type of healers.
But also as well, Ned Nabba transitioned about 10 years ago, and he was in the West doing his work, and then he went back, and basically he was sick, and he could have gone through channels to get himself better. And he said, no, his work's done, it's time for him to go, and he didn't do it. He just allowed the transition to happen. Because it's a different mental when you're looking at what is death, and that's the other thing, they use this word death and they have the whole world scared. Whereas traditionally, that's why we don't have in the tradition any problems in communicating with ancestors. It's our forefathers, it's our mother and our mother went before. There's just a veil that separates us, and they understand that.
and the world is not overpopulated when people are sustaining life by I don't know, artificial means.
You only need to drive up the M20 and M1 and pass Watford and realize how much land is out there. And this is just a small country.
Mm-hmm.
And they say the idea, if you go Africa, it's even more vast. You drive
Days.
and then you see how big Africa really is. And you see that this idea that is a propaganda that they're giving you because they have an agenda and they want to fulfill that agenda. So they give you all of these ideas and things that you know, and if you are a certain type of people, that either you might be right or left according to how they might classify you. So if you're a right thinking person, then you might start be getting alarmed about the herd size, and the herd is for everybody. It's not for one people. And yeah, my personal opinion, and that is not their center, is that you should be able to go and live anywhere you want to go. Yeah? And there should be no boundaries. In Africa, there was no the kind of boundaries that is there now. Right? There was not that at all. People was able to go from one country to the other one. And when they have the boundary, they cut off one families. From one can go to them from over the other side than they used to before. So, you know, all of those things just bring more conflict and bring more war and anything.
I wanted to ask you, given that we're going to an age where we're doing this technology, we're at G5 now, has the ancestors seen what's coming with that? Because I haven't, obviously my own ideas, but
I would say yes, because the concept also, there's nothing new in the earth. Everything is something that is, it might bring it more modern or whatever, but it's not a new concept, right? And the fact that is that whatever you see that is going on in the world before we now, our ancestors see long time ago, and they choose not to go down that road. If you go to Berita and see where this knowledge is coming from, you would laugh. You'd say people who live in such bad condition have that kind of knowledge about every aspect of human life.
That's bad in inverted commas. That's how Western see it.
That's what it is. Right. So if you can see that people are living in such simple way of life, fitting in with nature, they don't want what we want. They're not interested in telephone. They're not interested in electric light. Right? They're just living as they want to live. And therefore, so yes, our ancestors know what is coming, and that's why their center is here.
okay. And the second part of that question is this week coming, they're going to have a very big event for 3 days, and they've invited a lot of the Commonwealth to come to roll out the 5G and all of that stuff in Africa and the Commonwealth. So really, it's kind of wanting to understand a little bit about what we as individuals can do to speak up and to guide.
You know, when it gets to this level on the physicality, we already lost. It's big money, it's big corporation, it's government. Everybody colluding, and we African people bear the brunt of it because it's really, really robbing of whatever resources we have, so they can do whatever they want to do. So you know, the fight is spiritual. We can't beat big corporation. We can't beat nuclear bomb. But we have our spirituality. And the spirituality is the greatest thing that human beings have. So what we need to do is start cultivating our spirituality. And also accept that the fight is not in just one lifetime. You gotta go and come back. You gotta better yourself as a human being. And you have to be in harmony with the herd and with all celestial body, with your ancestors, with all deities, entities, and everything. Once you are in harmony with those things, then you know the material world, you know, is an illusion. You know, you don't have to see it, and the fight is not there. We are fighting the wrong fight. You understand? So, you know, if we continue follow them, it's like they treat us like dog and they throw us a piece of bone every so often. And they give then they put another few dogs in the same compound. And then we all start fighting one another and all of that. But that is not where the war is. Can anyone want to say something?
It's interesting. I was thinking that's really to add what you're saying. It's a distraction, and what they do is they're good at playing the distraction game. So they get you into this sort of idea of protest, and you know, which is really a distraction. Because while you're protesting, you're not learning. Because they know that as long as they've got your attention, then that they can keep manipulating. Because what they're doing is they work on an emotional level. So they'll do something to make you emotionally riled up. And whilst you're being emotional about something, behind it, well, you're not learning about your own spirituality. So you, as Bhakti said, you're fighting the wrong fight in a sense, because you should be studying and learning about. If you learn your own spirituality, you will learn a different power that you have, and even more potent power than going out there with plaques and saying, please give me this and please give me that, please give me. You know, why should they give you anything anyway? If I was them, I would prefer to have you doing that than studying your own self, your history, your spirituality, because I know that I don't want you being pyramid builders anymore. I want you out on the street with plaques protesting to me, begging me for something. Because as long as you're begging me for something, I'm the one that has the power. I can give you a little bit here, a little bit there, you know, whatever. Keep you happy, but keep you distracted from where your true power lies. Well, that's why we don't believe at the F-Center. We don't really believe in protesting. We don't protest for anything. We don't protest for reparations. We don't do any of that, because we're focusing on building our true power, our connection with the divine world and our ancestors. That's where the power lies.
I wanted to ask, the school MTAM, that what's the reality of it manifesting where our sons and daughters of this country actually becoming, you know what I mean, it can happen. We can opt out of what's going on now. That we're selling our children to these schools that are messed us up, and we're now rediscovering.
Well, a lot of children, a lot of people homeschooling and all over the world. And if you, when I was in Florida last time, I saw a lady had 5 children, and every one of them, she teach them. And all of them get top, went to university when they were 14 and all them age. So, you know, it's good that we can, if we can do that, so we can instill them. But, you know, even still, that is still a loss, because they don't understand about themselves fully. Yeah. And that is what we here to teach you, is that we are not saying that you shouldn't accept this education here. But what we realize is that for us, we do the reverse in a way, because we are getting the knowledge a lot later.
Well, this is what I was referring to.
So we are getting the knowledge a lot later.
Yeah, I wanted it to happen younger.
But if they can get, but sometime in this system, is a very the system is full of pressure. So sometimes young people have too much going on here already. It would be difficult for them. But if they could, it would make them a much more better individual. Because there's nothing greater in your existence more than to connect to your divine self, to the divine energy around you, to can communicate with your ancestors.
I'm sold on that. I mean, I'm saying, like the initiates happen in 7-year-old in Mali, so forth. I'm saying, okay, we're here and we know. I mean, if you've got big dreadlocks, you're not allowed. You have to wear a helmet in this country. But a fellow with a turban on his head is not having to wear a helmet. So they favour one type of faith to another. the discrimination is there. We've never challenged it,
No,
as far as I know.
the reason why they favor those ones is because they know they don't work.
They don't work. Yes, I understand. But
As simple as that.
if there was an
So
online thing,
listen, if you have two dogs outside barking and one, as we used to call it, a puppy dog, just make a whole lot of noise, but no have no bite really. And you have to go outside and you know there's a big dog out there just growling. What are you gonna do?
the puppy one, isn't it?
Right. So that's how the system is. The system knows. They know us more than all we know ourselves. I understand. And because they know us so much, and they realize that everything we have, they want. All the medicines and all that, when they're testing them, is we they're testing them on. Everything that they're doing, they know our strength. So they use us in every way possible. That's why they want to keep us in a position that they can continually use us. You understand? So even when you think you're a millionaire and you see it all the time as a black person, you look at it, most of them get broke after a while. The system take it back from them. You understand? They take it back from them. You understand? They take it back. So, you know, it's very hard to escape from the system. You can't really escape from the system. You know, and the only way you can escape from the system is stop fighting them on this level.
So essentially is your mission to go back to Africa?
Yes.
That's what it is.
Yeah, that is part of it. But sorry. But that you know, our master Nabi said what you wanna do is create the most intelligent race a human being. That is our mission. Superhuman being. So that is what our mission is really. Because we understand that, you know, you have to have a good head to survive in this world today.
Because
Yes.
in saying that, then you're very limited here. Then if you're talking
No.
about
No.
You're
No.
talking
you
about
say no, but then you're talking about things that affect your being, as in things you ingest, things in the air which you don't see, all those type of things. So
okay, that's only a part of it though. One of the things that we saw in the first 3 months, we call it breaking the monument. Because one of the things that we know is that the way that the system has been able to educate, it's so insidious that it gets into the very being of you. So the first thing that we do in the first 3 months of the initiation is to break those monuments, things you didn't even know was inside of you. So the first thing, before you can even think about anything else, you have to know yourself. You have to know what's controlling you. If you don't even know you're being controlled and how you're being controlled, anything else you do, once that button is pushed, you're going to do it because you don't even know that you're being controlled.
I don't know whether if you already spoken about the fact that humans don't invent.
Yeah.
You've already spoken about that.
Just mentioned it.
Okay. Yeah, because that's a crucial aspect. Because what that means is that the very fact that you don't invent, none of your ideas are actually just, you're not born, you know, in religion they tell you that you're born knowing what is good and what is bad. That's nonsense. You're not. Everything that's been, it's only what you've been exposed to that's told you what is good and what is bad. So it's a learned behavior. Without that learned behavior, we're no better than any other animal.
And
That's the limitation of a human being. So the values that you hold on to, knowing that, the values that the values that people actually fight and kill for, they say, oh, this is my God, this is my this is my, you know, people, some values people take so personally that the system's actually instilled in them, they take it so personally that they think that when you're attacking that particular whatever subject, that they're taking it personal, that you actually feel like you're attacking them personally. But this is something that is being instilled in you by a system that knows that You only know what you've been exposed to. All the values that you hold on to so dearly isn't really yours necessarily. This is the limitation of a human. This is a really important fact, and that's why I'm just reiterating that, because it's so important to get that you have to now think, okay, these ideas that I have, where do they come from? Where am I getting these ideas from? Maybe I'm wrong. I might not be right. I'm in a system that knows that our weakness. So if the system knows the weakness, they know how to push the button. They know to make sure that you only learn a certain something in school. You only see this on TV. You only hear this on the radio. Don't make them hear this. Don't make them see this, because if they do, then they're learning something else. That's the thing. You can be like an ant in a plate that's just running around the plate, because that's the limitation that the ant has. But if you have a bigger plate, then the ant has a more exposure. Do you understand?
And
So is this?
to add to what Kevin's saying, one of the things that we say in the tradition as well is that you are being schooled by the ones who killed your mothers and fathers. Why are they going to give you anything good? They done massacre your mother and father.
So, see the principle.
Yes, no, I'm agreeing with you. I'm saying yes. And then, as Kennyman said, so everything, but it's from the church, because the installation of Christianity was not from your ancestors. Everything that your ancestors gave you, we now know, don't look at it, it's voodoo, it's obia, it's no, so all of that label's been put on there. And by the way, they go to those temples and get that information, because when we went to Benin and that, we saw them there. Europeans as priestesses, they're everywhere. So that block's been put on, and this image of holier than thou, and yet we still can see that. We see what's happening where priests have done to little boys. We've seen what that the church was the one that gave permission to the governments to go and kidnap and massacre. So why would those who killed your forefathers now be so graceful to want to give you anything?
See the principles of the Seth. So, the likes of business who have no, I guess they don't have a sense of spirituality. Anybody who follows the Sethian mindset, they say. So, do they know what they're following? Are they like how? Well, myself now, I understand the Wazirian principle to a certain extent with what I hear and read, but are there people in this world who actually know the Sethian ways are negative,
Yes.
or they just back it all the way?
Yes, they have temples, like a Shethian temple.
Yeah.
And they have people who follow that path.
Yeah, the original story. I mean, they could be following it off.
But it's a principle though. So it's a principle that doesn't have any boundaries, that anything goes. So it's that principle. So from you're living a particular principle, whether you call it Sethian principles or you don't, from you have that behavior, and it's not about spirituality, it's not about humanity and upliftment. There's base values, then you're following that principle.
Wow.
Like the police shooting up the
Can I ask?
Sorry.
You talked about the sort of infiltration of some of our traditional temples in African Benin, and I think that's one of the things that's affected a lot of our institutions, that we haven't been vigilant, and we have opened the doors. We opened the door to Africa, to the enslavers. We allow people into our institutions without really verifying the truth of why they're coming, and a lot of our institutions have been corrupt. And I remember having a download about how careful you have to be about what you join, because they have been a low consciousness energy has been seeded into those institutions to keep them from developing, to stop us from flourishing. So I was wondering, what do you do for the Earth Centre to keep that vibration high, to make sure?
Well, we keep in connection with the earth. We keep in connection with the divine. But it's one thing I want to say to people, if we are in this country, and this is a white man country, it's very hard.
We were the first people.
No, here no, right now they're ruling it. Right? It's very hard to have any operation or anything that you don't have some trace of them in it. Because if you do that, then all doors is going to block for you also. So it's a hard journey, you know. As long as you're operating in their country. Remember, not every black person that you see have black skin is really black. Yeah, you understand? You understand? So, you know, you have to understand that. So, you know, yeah, it's the same.
That's the worst one.
So you have to understand that, you know,
But
what is
also-
what you have to think about is what is a person's agenda in life. And what we know for a fact is that, you see, true knowledge cannot be accessed by any and anybody, because the knowledge protects itself. You might get the information, you get the information, but you don't get it. Just like all of us in this room, some gonna take away a whole lot of different things. Some gonna hear me say things that we never said, and some gonna add some bit onto it, and some gonna miss off a lot of it. You know, but everybody gonna come out here with something different.
But do you do, because one of the things that I always marvel at that we do, we advertise so much. Because I think the Chinese, Europeans, they're quietly behind the door, they've got their network to communicate.
They advertise in the same way. But it's just that
Well,
we
not at the highest levels, I don't think
they
so.
do it the same way. It's just that they are selected. And what happens is that because they have influence, then they don't need to do the kind of footwork that we do. They just pick up the phone and call a few people. They have good network systems set up that they can just tap into. And the system in this country is always been for a long time. It's not what you know, it's who you know.
So you wouldn't refuse anybody access to the Earth Centre training? Anybody from anywhere could come and
That's
ask
what I
to
was
be on
saying. The Earth Centre, because it's the temples. Right, so there's a story where there are two tribes fighting, and the Dogon priests come out. The ones who are coming to fight them have gone and they're resting for the night to come and fight them, but they've got no food and no drink. And the priests from the temple, from the Dogon, come and they give them food to restore them, because as priests of the temple, they're working for humanity. And if they see a human being in need, that is how the temples function. They give a human. So that if whoever goes to the temple and needs a reading, they're not going to turn you away because you're a human being. That's how the temple functions. And it functions off of the principles of nature. The rain doesn't select who it's going to fall on. The sun doesn't select who it shines on. That's when you're living nature. That's why we said it's fitting into principle. But if you're talking about the individual being able to access the higher, that's going to depend on the individual's qualities. So everyone has to work on their own qualities. Because you and the brother can be sitting beside each other, as Boati saying, you're giving the same information, and where you access and go to will be different to where he accesses and go to. That's why you don't want to get distracted on that. Because I saw that, coming up and saying, Europeans, but then I realized, hold on, I'm not letting no European stop me getting my forefathers' knowledge. No, it's not happening. It's not happening. So I have to take for me. I have to drink from my well. That's what my ancestors left me. Whatever else is happening, that's their journey in life. But if I get sidetracked, I miss my goal.
I know
I
it's
hear you, but
I know
there's
it,
a
I know it's,
history
I
of
know
I
it,
hear
I know
them
it's hard.
stealing from us and then taking
Yeah,
our
no, no,
same
no.
technology and using it against us.
But that is why
that's what you
that's why I'm
understand. That's
trying
what
to.
you understand.
Sorry.
That's what they've been doing. You see, this is
When are
the
we going to
thing.
stop that?
So this is the thing. This is the thing that they have been doing, but this is what they've managed to preserve the teaching. That's why it's to be exposed to the teachings, because these teachings you won't have been exposed to before. And you know, many of us have been university, and the knowledge that we've done at university. When I came here and I saw this, I was like, and then when I went to the place where these people come from, it's just dust. But this knowledge is being passed down. So it's for you to get your ancestral knowledge. That's what I would say. It's for you to focus on what you've come to do.
That's why I'm saying to you is that you need to focus on yourself. As Catastro say, you have to, from strength come strength, from weakness come weakness. If you are strong, then you can help somebody else. If you don't have nothing, you can't help nobody. So it's for you to grow your quality. Because as I said, it's not a physical thing.
No,
It's
it's
a spiritual thing,
warfare.
right? So you have to prepare yourself
Mm,
to be as spiritual as you can in this lifetime.
mm.
So you don't miss your goal. So while we're getting emotional, which we all are, you know, I'm a person who never watched Roots because it used to make my blood wild. As soon as I hear answer one thing, I just turn off the TV and I
Yes,
come out of the
agree,
room. You understand?
agree.
So you understand? So
Agree. So
Read the book,
re-traumatizing that
read
we
the
don't
book.
need. We
Yeah,
don't
Read the book
need it.
instead.
so you understand?
Your
So
question.
I understand.
So restore. So the cycle of when we talk about taking the prince of Musa, Aisha, and Heru, what Heru came to do was to reclaim his father's kingdom. Reclaim your ancestors' kingdom. Okay? That's what the Heru, which you call the hero, the one who came and stood for his father after his uncle killed his father. He came and he took back his father's kingdom. He reclaimed that. And the only way you can do it is for you to stand. You have to stand for yourself and your lineage, your ancestors. Yes.
I have 3 questions, but they're very
Okay.
brief. One
And I
is,
think
yeah,
so another time
yeah,
is
no. One is, you've been using the word Mary Bow or Mary Bow or something, I don't know what it is, if you could
Mary
explain.
Many
Oh, right,
times.
so, I don't know what the word is, so if you could explain it, what it is.
Beloved land. That was
Oh,
the
see,
Kemet.
and
That's
like,
the
where does it
ancient
come
name.
from, like?
From Kemet.
Oh,
So
I see
Mary
that.
means
Right.
beloved, and Ta is the ancient name for earth. So again, in the
Okay.
initiation, you'll learn how to read and write in
Okay.
what they call hieroglyphs, and that's speaking in
Okay.
Medu.
Alright, so
That's
can I
what
ask
it
a
is.
second question?
Of course.
You said something about there's a time when like I understand it, like the heaven opens and there is something between the divine and the like us and something. I wasn't really clear. If you could explain what that is.
Okay.
And then the third thing is, do you too practice the health, whatever is the health arm of whatever the organization is? Those are my 3 questions.
Okay.
So you
Okay.
answered the first one, thanks.
Yeah. So the day of Tahuti, which is what you're talking about.
I'm not sure. But
It's
the,
yeah.
okay.
So this goes back to there's a day that we have. So our calendar is not a solar calendar; it's from Septet. So there's a month called Tahuti, and on the 19th day of that month, we have that as a holy day where we remember the 19th day of Tahuti, where humanity, the world of the divine, open to humanity. And our ancestral deity, which is Wusa, and you may have heard of Tahuti. The Greeks called him Hermes. Okay. So all of these are coming from ancient Kemet stories. And when humanity saw the divine world, because before that, see, there's also before that, human beings, as Kenneman said, they were in a state of barbarism. You know, they didn't know how to even keep themselves or anything, and so Wusa was the one who showed humanity how to do agriculture, how to farm, how to keep animals, and allowed humans to be able to get to a certain level where they were now reaching a certain level we call dignity. And then he wanted to allow human beings to be able to at least have the opportunity to go into the realms of the divine. And so on that day, the divine world opened up for humanity, and the gods were before human beings, and they asked us, what do you want? What is your agenda?
But was it a one-off, or is this something happening every year, or what? That's what I'm trying to
Okay,
understand.
so on the 19th day, which is
Yeah.
when we celebrate.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you think about anything, something happens, and then each year
So it's
you commemorate.
right.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Right.
So that's what it was, and that was where our ancestors made the vow to walk the road of the divine. That we're talking about the 77, and like I said, that's where you get all the any other religion or spirituality. You'll always see that they have some kind of laws for you to live by, something that you must walk by. So that's what that was. And the third one was
Whether you both practice whatever is the health arm of whatever is in here. Actually, now I think about it, I have one more, which is sort of related to the same question. Sorry, it's you know how you said in ancient what was called
Kemet.
Egypt, so Kemet, they had all of this knowledge or whatever, and people were coming. Do you know why they chose to just send off the bloodlines and put them wherever instead of building up defenses to keep the people out? Do you know? Right.
okay. I'm gonna switch now.
Right.
Okay, so what happens is we understand everything has a cycle.
Okay.
So every civilization gets a time to rule, and then there's a time that they have to go down and another one comes up.
Okay.
So that's when we talk about the 1000, the great year cycle, there's a whole cycle there that's involved, and every time that cycle happens, there's great shifts and change on the planet. So that's what I said about fitting into nature and knowing where you are in nature. It's not about you per se, it's understanding where you are in that cycle.
Okay.
So on seeing that, they could see what was coming, and then they sent the priests out across the Sahara into West Africa.
That's a good answer.
That's the answer.
I feel sated by the answer. And the last one is if you want to do the help, but if you don't want to, it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, what I do in my whole work, I'm a holistic healer. That's what I do anyway. So it's about holistic living, holistic health. What?
We're gonna
Close
close.
off there.
Unless
Alright, so
unless anybody else.
Bernie, but
One
I
last
think the
Bernie.
time has kind of.
But we can.
She's
we,
pushing it. She's been waiting. Did you not?
No, I didn't.
Oh yes, we went here to
Sorry.
this gentleman. We didn't come back. No, we have to get your question. This is the last one, and then last one.
Yeah, that's
but,
right.
but we'll be after we finish. There's another initiate in this house as well. So
Yeah.
feel free to ask anybody if you're a bit shy and you couldn't get the nerves to speak.
When she's finished, we'll give you a breakdown, and then you can go to the
What's your question?
Yes, my question was about the earth readings. Being earth, I imagine they can be done anywhere, but can anybody have a reading?
Yes.
Okay. So then obviously if it's yes, are there practitioners around, Dogon practitioners around or initiates around that do that?
You actually taught during the initiation, get certain basics, but for those who do the readings, they're in Merita at the moment, so there's actually a reading tomorrow, but I think that's full. As soon as the door opens, it fills up. And there may be some more in there. So the Senti, the sister who came up first, Carnefa, she is the chair of what we call the Ancasta. So you can speak with her and her team, and you can find out when other days are open for the reading, if you want to know more about that.
Thank you.
All right, so I'm just about to say, let me just close off, and then you can ask your question. Is that better?
I do have a question.
Okay.
My name is Oshuniemi. I'm a priestess. I deal with ancestors a lot. And I need to say something here now. Do you mind?
No.
Okay, everyone.
I've been sitting here so much, and the ancestors have been here with me, and it's disturbing me a lot. So I just need to say these few words. Well, I normally come it across like a sort of song, like, you know. Ancestors, show us the way to walk. Show us the way. Ancestors, show us the way to walk. Show us the way. Guide us along the way. That's it.
And so, was the elder for expressing herself.
Bring me some water, please.
Could one of the initiates get the elder some water, please? What we're gonna do now, one of the initiates will bring you some water shortly. We're gonna close off now, but if you have any question, please feel free. We have many initiates downstairs. This is Carnefa, so if you wanted to know about the readings or anything like that, we have a sister called Shadia. I don't know if Shadia is around. Anything around the firefly, anything to do with the calendar, the civil calendar, any of the books, the firefly, the 77, you can ask about that. If any of you are interested in initiation, there's a sister called Karsati who is here, and she has a team of people who can direct you to her. I know you've all left your name, but we can just put beside your name that you're interested in initiation. But if you just want to just generally ask questions, we're here for that. So, dua for coming. For those who are leaving now, and for those who are going to leave later, may the ancestors guide your steps home safely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so you can feel free if you want to stay up here for a while. You can do the 2 rooms downstairs. One of them is the Ancaster healing. One of them is tradition. There's some light snacks there, so make yourself at home.